It's been a joy sharing what I've discovered after nearly 40 years of conversations with presidents, cultural icons, and game changers in every field of human endeavor. If you missed the first cohort, the good news is that we're already planning the next one. Now, the seats will be limited, and those on our waiting list will receive exclusive early access and special discounts not available to the general public. So, if you are ready to transform the way you connect, lead, and build trust, do not hesitate. Go to TavishTalks.com and join the waiting list today. That's TavishTalks.com. The next cohort is coming. Make sure you are in the room. I'm Tavish Smiley, and I hope to see you there.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Good afternoon. You have joined the J Lunch Club on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and I am Atiba, in today for Jesse Jackson Jr. Jesse is handling some things for the memorial service for his father tomorrow, and we are excited today to have 3 South Carolina representatives join us. Of course, the Jackson family and Reverend Jackson just arrived back to Chicago from South Carolina, where he was certainly welcomed as a favorite son. After a long career fighting for civil rights, Reverend Jackson was visiting his home for the one last time to lie in state at the South Carolina Capitol on Monday. And then the final hours from the state where he was born, it's a far cry from his childhood in the segregated Greenville, where in 1960, he couldn't go inside the local library's much better funded whites-only branch to check out a book he needed. Reverend Jackson led 7 Black high school students into that segregated branch, where they sat down and read books and magazines until they were arrested. And the branches closed, then quietly reopened for all. We start that off because we have joining us today the former president of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter. And we also have Representative John King, and we also have the Legislative Black Caucus Chair of the South Carolina Legislature, Annie McDaniel, who may be joining us later. When I think about the things that we have seen over the course of time and the things that happened over the course of Reverend Jackson's life and the African-American state legislators serving in the state of South Carolina, there are so many changes that we can say that have happened over the course of many, many, many decades. Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter is the first African-American woman elected to the state house from Orangeburg County in South Carolina. She is the former representative for South Carolina's 66th district, and following redistricting, and we hear this term a lot, redistricting, and the 2022 general election, she now represents South Carolina's House District 95. She is the first vice chair of the House Ways and Means Committee, and she has served in the South Carolina House of Representatives since 1992. Representative Cobb Hunter, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Atiba. Thank you for having me.
So I assume that there may have been a lot of thoughts going through your mind with Reverend Jackson coming to South Carolina, and the many things and issues even that you all still confront today within the legislature. Can you take us there as a legislator, what it was like for you with Reverend Jackson coming back home?
Well, I thought it appropriate. Reverend Jackson, of course, is a native son, and I was proud for how South Carolina welcomed him. The services at the State House, where he was lying in state in the rotunda, for a minute we were concerned that a lot of people may or may not show up, and all of us were just especially pleased to see the outpouring of love and support for Reverend Jackson, not just by South Carolinians, because as I walked the lines wrapped all around the state capitol. There were people in the line, not just from South Carolina, but there were folk who knew him in Chicago. One guy in particular that I spoke with lived in San Francisco, but he was a native of Chicago and wanted to come and pay his respects. People from all over the Southeast came. And of course, you are aware that Ambassador Andrew Young made the trip over from Atlanta. So it was really just heartwarming to see the outpouring of love and support for Reverend Jackson, and for me in particular to see, and indeed a rainbow coalition, because the mourners were all stripes, shades, all of that. And so it was really gratifying to me to see the outpouring of love and support for Reverend Jackson.
Representative Cobb Hunter, a couple of weeks ago, we had former representative, Georgia Representative Calvin Smyre on the show. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he talked about was the role that Reverend Jackson played in making it possible for he and others to get into the legislature and to move up into leadership positions. When you look at South Carolina today and you look at the country and you think about the energy of those who came to honor Reverend Jackson over the weekend, were there any things that went back to your thinking in terms of how far we have come as a nation?
Yeah, I should say kind of, sort of, and I would share with you, Atiba, that I am doing this interview after a day in the General Assembly where we have decided in the South Carolina House to name a road after Charlie Kirk as well as Donald Trump. So I'm putting it in context, because when I think about how far we've come, and I think about votes that were taken today, it just reminds me of how far we have to go. But let me just quickly respond.
Representative Cobb Hunter, we're going to go to break, but when we come back, I would like for you to come back to talking about that.
Okay, sure.
We will continue our conversation with Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter after the break.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This March, we're turning up the volume on the women who changed everything. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to celebrate Women's History Month, honoring the trailblazers, truth tellers, and game changers who shaped our world, our culture, and our community. From the freedom fighters to the firsts, from the boardroom to the front lines, from the unsung to the unforgettable, all month long, we're celebrating the stories, the voices, and the conversations that remind us that women, Black women, have always led the way. Don't miss a moment. This is our moment. This is our story. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580, Los Angeles' home for the conversations that matter.
I'm your girl, you're my girl, we're your girls. Won't you know that we love you?
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and I am Atiba sitting in today for Jesse Jackson Jr. Our guest is Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter, a state legislator in the state of South Carolina. She's the first African-American woman elected to the state house from Orangeburg County, and she's the former president of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. Representative Cobb Hunter, thank you for joining us. Before the break, you were talking about an issue that was going on there today that gave you pause.
Yeah, Atiba, we, like many states probably across the country, are caught up on this Charlie Kirk crap. And what we've done here in South Carolina, and you know, this is indeed still Trump country for the most part. We in the legislature today, in the House, passed a resolution honoring Charlie Kirk by naming a couple of roads by him. Now, for him. And we also passed a resolution honoring Donald Trump. Two things come to mind. Neither of those two people are residents of South Carolina. That point being made, neither of those two, in my view, deserve to have a road named after them. And at some point, you have to just say enough is enough. And I had to take the well to talk about the hypocrisy of trying to make Charlie Kirk something that he was not. And it is just appalling to me that we are seeing these kinds of instances around the country where people are trying to lionize people who, quite frankly, don't deserve the honor. And so it was just very difficult for me to sit there and listen to my colleagues, listen to that legislation. And I have to say, coming on the tail end of a week, when we had such an outpouring on Monday for Reverend Jackson and such a celebration, if you will, of his work, of his bringing people together, you know, the whole Rainbow Coalition and all of that, it was just a bit much. And I had to let them know how I felt. And it also brought to mind for me when Reverend Jackson was here. We did when we took down the Confederate flag, and I spent a lot of time with him. My office mate, the late Representative Joe Neal, and I, and Reverend Jackson was in our office in between debates and all of that. Long story short, what I thought about was the point he made when we took down the flag, and what he said was, you know, it's great, I'm paraphrasing, great, you're taking down the Confederate flag. Just don't confuse it with not dealing with the Confederate agenda. His point was, you've got the flag down. What about the Confederate agenda, the agenda of the Confederacy? What we did here today, in my view, was a testament to his point about the Confederate agenda. All that we seem to be doing is making sure that we keep people down. And it's just amazing to me that we just keep letting it happen. So I'll stop. I feel like I'm rambling.
No, but thank you so much. I mean, for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah.
We also want to bring in at this time Representative John King. He's also a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives and has been serving since 2009. He was a Chester City councilman from 1999 to 2000 and a county councilman from 2000 to 2006. Representative King, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Atiba, and it's always an honor to be on with my colleague, Representative Gilda Cobb-Hunter, and so who is also my office and suite mate there at the Capitol, and who has honestly taught me a lot about being a legislator. And so I will always honor that.
Well, thank you for that. And, you know, it's interesting. You know, one of the things that I often think about is that if you want to know what's going on, call a state legislator. And so, you know, in terms of what you were just talking about, Representative Gilda Cobb-Hunter, Representative John King, you're coming in. We have been talking about reflections of this week with Reverend Jesse Jackson's body and the respect and the honors that were given by the state of South Carolina to him, recognizing his life and civil rights. What were some of your thoughts about the energy that you saw over the last couple of days as it related to Reverend Jackson?
Well, I hope for other Black elected officials in South Carolina, it grounded us and made us realize the shoulders in whom we stand on. And I would not be where I am if it was not for people like Jesse Jackson. And so I went to his service to truly honor his legacy, but also to give me the energy that I need to go into the Capitol each day and face the adversity that Gilda and I face each day. And she spoke about what happened today. And I was also insulted, but I was also happy that we have people like Representative Cobb-Hunter who will stand up and speak up. And she's going to say it just like it is, and she doesn't mind stepping on your toes. And I don't say it because she's on here. I say it because she's real. I mean, I think as we look at what happened this week with Reverend Jackson, he was real. And so she started today's message off in the chamber being just who Jesse Jackson was, speaking truth to power and speaking truth to people who don't want to hear it. And Ms. Cobb Hunter made it very clear that we as Black people in South Carolina are offended by the actions of the General Assembly.
And with that, let's go to a clip. Let's listen to a clip from Reverend Jackson from his 1988 Democratic National Convention speech.
Went down in history.
Story. I wasn't always on television. Writers were not always outside my door. When I was born late one afternoon, October 8th, in Greenville, South Carolina, no writers asked my mother her name. Nobody chose to write down our address. A mama was not supposed to make it, and I was not supposed to make it. You see, I was born a teenage mother who was born a teenage mother. I understand. I know abandonment and people being mean to you and saying you're nothing and nobody and can never be anything. I understand. Jesse Jackson is my third name. I'm adopted. When I had no name, my grandmother gave me her name. My name was Jesse Burns till I was 12. So I wouldn't have a blank space. She gave me a name to hold me over. I understand when nobody knows your name. I understand when you have no name. I understand. I wasn't born in the hospital. Mama didn't have insurance. I was born in the bed at house. I really do understand. Born in a 3-room house, bathroom in the backyard, slop job by the bed, no hot and cold running water. I understand. Wallpaper used for decoration? No, for a windbreaker. I understand. I'm a working person's person. That's why I understand you, whether you're black or white. I understand work. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I had a shovel programmed for my hand. My mother, a working woman. So many days she went to work early, with runs in her stockings. She knew better, but she rolled runs in her stockings so that my brother and I could have matching socks and not be laughed at school. I understand. At 3 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day, we couldn't eat turkey because Mama was preparing somebody else's turkey at 3 o'clock. We had to play football to entertain ourselves. And then around 6 o'clock, she would get off the Alta Vista bus and we would bring up the leftovers and eat our turkey, leftovers, the caucus, the cranberries, around 8 o'clock at night. I really do understand. Every one of these funny labels they put on you, those of you who are watching this broadcast tonight in the projects, on the corners, I understand. Call you outcast, low down, you can't make it, you're nothing, you're from nobody, subclass, underclass. When you see Jesse Jackson, when my name goes in nomination, your name goes in nomination. I was born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. And it wasn't born in you, and you can make it. Wherever you are tonight, you can make it. Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. You must not surrender. You may or may not get there, but just know that you are qualified and you hold on and hold out. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. On tomorrow night and beyond. Keep hope alive. I love you very much.
Wow.
Nice.
Before we go on, I want to also introduce Representative Annie McDaniel, who is also a member of the South Carolina House of Representatives. She's been serving in South Carolina since 2008, and she is also the chair of the South Carolina Legislative Black Caucus. Representative McDaniel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
As we just watched a clip of Reverend Jackson speaking at the 1988 Democratic National Convention. And Representative McDaniel, since you're just joining us, I'd like for you, if you could, give us briefly some of your thoughts about Reverend Jackson being there, as well as what that clip meant for you. And I also see that in the background, we have Representative Keyshawn Scott joining us. So thank you so much, Representative Scott, for joining us.
Well, in listening to the script, it kind of took me back to my younger years. You know, I'm one of those individuals that walked through a way that was paved mostly by my mom and her strong belief in God. And so when he was making the comments and the people, I like his comments, you know, I am somebody, and he makes people feel as though they're worth something, and it's not always a path of who you know to get you where you need to go, but it's the tenacity of you just trudging forward. And so it just took me back through those days when I used to watch him and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and many others who gave us hope and let us know that no matter where you are, you can be anywhere you want to be and you can go anywhere you want to go.
Representative Carpenter, we have a couple minutes before break. Do you want to give us some of your thoughts listening to that clip?
Well, I was there. I was a delegate, and my first convention was 1984 as a Jesse Jackson delegate, and at the 88 convention. So it was like a full circle moment. I got a little teary watching him and watching the reactions. And by the way, one of those faces is a woman from South Carolina, B. Thompson, who's a retired city council member from Anderson, South Carolina. And so it was really good to hear him, to see him, and to see the beginnings, I think. Well, not the beginnings, because the beginnings were in 84, but seeing the Rainbow Coalition still alive and well 4 years later at the 88 convention was just great. Those words, like my colleague Rep. McDaniel said, it's just good. It was good to hear them, kind of brought back memories. And after the day we've had, keep hope alive is something we really need to hear today, Atiba. So thank you, and thanks for the team for playing that clip. Brought back pleasant memories.
And for me, you know, I was 16 years old when he gave that speech. Little did I know that a year later, he was going to be giving the high school graduation speech at my alma mater, Dunbar High School in Washington, D.C., the first African-American high school for us, for African-Americans after slavery. And there's just so many different things that I can say that Reverend Jackson touched. But also when I get a chance to talk with you all and the work that we do, get to do with you all, it's amazing. So we're going to go to break. When we come forward, we're going to continue our discussion and our reflection of Reverend Jackson as the nation gives its final salute to the work Reverend Jackson rendered to the nation. We are reflecting on the life of Reverend Jackson as the nation prepares to lay him to rest. I'm Atiba, and when we come forward, we will continue our conversation.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump has fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. In a Truth Social post, Trump said Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen will replace her. He added that Noem will serve as special envoy for the Shield of Americas, a new Western Hemisphere initiative expected to be announced on Saturday. The change takes effect at the end of the month. The woman involved in a 2-year affair with former University of Michigan football coach Sharon Moore, who was Black, is no longer employed by the university. A spokesman says her contract expired February 28th. Moore is accused of breaking into her home after being fired last December and is due in court tomorrow. And rapper Kanye West, now known as just Ye, has announced 2 major European stadium shows for summer 2026 and is reportedly in final talks to headline London's Wireless Festival in July. The shows in the Netherlands and Italy could draw more than 100,000 fans. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers won their 3rd straight game. They beat the Indiana Pacers Wednesday night 130-107 at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. 29 points and 8 rebounds for Kawhi Leonard. Darius Garland had 12 points and 8 assists off the bench. It was Garland's first home game for the Clippers since the February 5th trade that brought him to LA in exchange for James Harden. Garland had been sidelined for a month with a foot injury. The Lakers are at Denver tonight. The Lakers also have a 3-game winning streak. The Big Ten Conference Women's Basketball Tournament tips off today in Indianapolis. UCLA, the number 2 team in the country, is the number 1 seed in the tournament. The Bruins' first game is Friday at noon local time. They will meet the winner of today's game at noon between USC and Washington. All games in the tournament will be broadcast live on the Big Ten Network. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Atiba. I'm sitting in today for Jesse Jackson Jr. Our guests are Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter, Representative John King, Representative Annie McDaniel, and Representative Keyshawn Scott, all from the state of California. I'm sorry, I keep saying California. From the state of South Carolina. My apologies. This week, Reverend Jackson's body lie in state at the South Carolina Capitol. And while he was there, we've had today opportunity to hear from our African-American state legislators talk about their feelings and their reflections of Reverend Jackson, as well as his body making its last trip home to the state where he was born, South Carolina. We were also listening to the 1988 Democratic National Convention speech that Reverend Jackson gave. And one of the things that came to mind was his ability to take his own life, his own story, not only to make it and say it in a way that was compelling, but in a way that was moving, because his story was our story. And he made us feel and understand that the American story was deeply rooted in terms of the African-American struggle, is one that touches so many. That was my impression. And Representative Cobb Hunter, you said, keep hope alive.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I feel that you all embody that idea. The fact that you in your work in the legislature are up against so many challenges, particularly in this day and age. I would ask you, where do you get the hope from? But I'd rather ask you, where do you get the energy from to keep moving forward? That was part of the reason why I had initially asked you the question, Representative Cobb Hunter, and I'll pose it to you, Representative McDaniel, Representative Scott, and Representative King. Is I like sports. And so when I think about sports, if you go into the locker room and you're down at the half and you just beat up the players, they're not likely to go out and try to fight to win the game. So is there something that you can give us that, that drives you, that keeps you in the legislature, that keeps you doing the work, that keeps you going to the well and speaking out, Representative Cobb Hunter, that you have taken and can take in terms of from Reverend Jackson, as well as in terms of the work that's still yet to be done?
Well, I would respond to that, Atiba, by saying, of course, I'm very much a spiritual person. So my spirituality and my belief that there is someone who sits high and looks low, that is a part of it. The other is I have, while I keep hope alive is a part of the mantra that I sometimes recite, I have consistently throughout my career used three words: in spite of. In spite of anything that happens, it's important for me to recognize that I am blessed and highly favored to be in this position. I need to take that seriously. And there are a lot of people out there who depend on me. And then real quickly, if I might add, it is important that those of us who are out here on the firing line recognize the importance of self-care, of taking a respite, of taking care of ourselves. And we can get a respite, but we can't quit. And so for me, all of that rolled into one suggests that, when you get tired, as we all do, just kind of take a break, do for me, water does that, the ocean, waves, that kind of thing. And so it's just a matter of me recognizing that, hey, this is a blessing to be here. And I need to honor that and value that and make sure that I am looking out for the least of these people who don't know nobody, who nobody knows. So that's what keeps me going. And I'm a social worker by nature and trade. So it's in my nature to care about the underdog and to try to take care of the least of these.
Yeah, it's such a blessing to have you all with us. I want to bring Representative Scott into the conversation because I would say, Representative Scott, I could say you're the youngest member, and then but let me say how you're the youngest member. In 2023, Representative Scott was elected to the Bishopville City Council and became its youngest member
On the news of the day.
at 22 years old. And he has been now in the South Carolina legislature since 2025. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Representative Scott. Tell us, because how old were you? You weren't even born in 1988.
No.
That's real talk.
No, I wasn't born until 2000.
We can't hear him.
But
yeah, can you? So you weren't born until 2000.
Yes.
What moved you to run for city council, and how, reflecting on the life of Reverend Jackson, how has his life impacted you, and what are some of the things that you're seeing as a young person that's bringing energy to this? I want to say to this thing, but to this game. Where is it that you are, and what is it that you're seeing, and where is it that you can offer us in terms of, from a position of hope?
Absolutely. So, when I think about the life of Reverend Jesse Jackson, of course, we all talk about the word hope, but for me, it really goes back to, first of all, understanding who you are, and so that whole mantra of I am somebody is something that I live every single day. And so, I find hope in knowing who I am, knowing who the people represented me to be, and most of all, getting the opportunity to show up every single day to fight the good fight. And so that is what I try to encourage the next generation in doing. And I'm so grateful for, my amazing colleagues here in the South Carolina House, because simply we are in a fight. But every single day we show up, no matter the numbers, no matter the criticism that we all receive, but we show up every single day and we put forth that fight because we understand who we are and what we're sent here to do.
Representative McDaniel, as the chair of the Legislative Black Caucus there in South Carolina, can you tell us, one, how many members are there in the legislature? And then tell us some of the challenges that you all face. But if you could also, what are some of the things that an everyday citizen can do to help you all in the work that you do?
We currently have 36 members between the House and the Senate. The Senate, we have 8, and then we have the remaining is in the House. Things that people can do to help the caucus is most definitely, we have a website, SC Legislative BC. Folk can go out there and put their email address in and sign up for our newsletter that we try to send out on a monthly basis. And it lists all of the things that the caucus is doing. It lists upcoming events. Sometimes we have events that are just like this one, they're taped. So they can watch what's going on and send us questions. Some of the summits that we do, we had one that was the State of Black South Carolina, very successful. We've done healthcare. We have the elected officials, Black elected officials from throughout the state come in, and we have a summit with them. And we try to stream all of them live, and we try to put the streaming on YouTube and also on our website. And most recently, we did one with the clergy, which was very successful. We had about 70 different clergy persons show up from throughout the state. And what our message is, Atiba, that we're sending, and let me say again, thank you for this opportunity and being here. We are encouraging individuals to pay close attention to the upcoming next 3 elections. We have 2026 coming up, which is an interim. That's our opportunity to start showing our power, flipping some seats. Then we have the 2028 election. Of course, that's the presidential. And I think if we can get the momentum and show that we flip seats in 2026, then that would carry forward to 2028 and really making South Carolina more of a blue state. Then in 2030, we have the census coming up. And we want to encourage people to go ahead and start getting ready. Spartanburg, South Carolina is one of 2 areas in the nation that is being used as a pilot. So we're trying to take advantage of that. So our message now is we've got to narrow the gap. We have a supermajority in both the House and the Senate, and we've got to make sure that we change that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. When we come forward, we're going to continue our discussion and our reflection of Reverend Jackson as the nation gives its final salute to the work Reverend Jackson rendered to the nation. And I'm Atiba, and when we come forward, we'll continue our conversation. This is KBLA.
of your will. But it's time for me to stop and tell you how I feel. Stop in the middle of my day. I've got to lift my voice and give you praise. Every breath I take, stop and praise. Pray and wait patiently. You give me everything that I need. All I gotta do every day is stop and praise. Close to you, I can handle what life brings. If I concentrate, just concentrate on you. Concentrate on you. I put my trust in you till the end. You'll be my lover, my God and my best friend.
You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I am Atiba, sitting in for Jesse Jackson Jr. today. Our guests are Representative Gilda Cobb Hunter, Representative John King, Representative Annie McDaniel, and Representative Keyshawn Scott. All are members of the South Carolina House of Representatives. I want to thank you all for joining us today and want to, in our last few minutes, hope, I think, is one of the major things when people think about the work of Reverend Jackson was keeping hope alive. And as we pass that torch on, Representative Scott, we talked about you being the youngest member here. Representative King, if you could start us off, and before we go to today, could you also give us just a few more of your personal reflections, but then also a word of hope? And then would love for each one of you to also give us a word of hope as we come to the end of our show.
Well, thank you, Atiba. You know, there's hope. When
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
When we can have the opportunity to have a space like this, where our people can talk about issues that face our community. But also hope is what you see in that room with Representative McDaniel, Representative Scott. And that is the hope that I see every day that I go to the chambers and I can see someone like Representative Scott that we can leave this state in the hands of when we're not here in the chambers. So that's the hope that I believe in, because I believe that we do have young Black folk that are ready to lead and be in positions that we are in today. Let me say this to you, and many may not agree with some of the things that I may say, but while I believe in the Rainbow Coalition and looking out for everyone, what I saw in the recent election there in Texas is that while we're looking out for other folk and fighting for them, they're not there to support us. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Representative Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, and the very community that has been assaulted by this president. In my opinion, the very community that she was fighting for did not support her. And so it has been my role as a legislator from the very beginning is to acknowledge that I am a Black representative and that I represent, while I represent a variety of folk, my focus is on the people that look like me, because we don't have the same voices and number of voices in public office that other groups do have. So the hope that I have is that I hope that more of us will get engaged and get involved, maybe not run for office, but be more engaged in the political process, because everybody can't be elected, but there are things that we can do that can change the trajectory of our community. So thank you for allowing me this opportunity.
And thank you for joining us. Representative Scott.
Absolutely. So I'll say very briefly, what I believe hope is on this past Monday, having the opportunity to celebrate the life of a legend here in South Carolina. was what hope looked like to me. You know, some of my colleagues and myself had the opportunity to actually go outside and walk around the line to see the various individuals that came, some as far as New York, down to Florida and Georgia, who came to pay their respects to a living legend. And so as we had that opportunity, I believe that, you know, that is what hope looked like. We were able to come together across party lines and differences in skin color and things like that to celebrate a man who meant so much to this world. I believe that's what hope looks like, and that's the hope that we should continue to carry forward as we continue to go through these turbulent times in this world. So I, again, thank you, Atiba, for this opportunity. To my colleagues, I commend you all every single day for the work that we're doing and for the fight, most of all, that we're dealing with here in South Carolina. So thank you for the opportunity to serve with you all, because I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. We've got about 2 minutes. Representative McDaniel, then we're going to close out with Representative Cobb Hunter.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. And hope for me is, as Rep King said, seeing the young folk when they come in and they just hang out with us and learn and grow from us. And Representative Scott has just been a yeoman as it relates to coming in and learning and understanding before he jump out and say some things that may not be kosher. I mean, he's just, I call him sometimes, I say, you're an old man in a young man's body. So, but just to kind of sum it all up, hope for me is just something being there for individuals to grab on. And I do believe seeing Reverend Jesse Jackson landing, well, for those of us who did get to see him, but just him being in the State House, that gave us hope that those things that he fought for us for so many years are finally coming to fruition in some form or the other. And him getting the recognition that he should have gotten a long time ago, but he just started getting it after he passed away. And just, again, as I stated earlier, reflecting on some of these sayings, you know, I am somebody. And just when I hear that, and when I see some of the sayings in the readings, it gives me hope that I can keep going. And no matter how tough it may get, just say my little scripture, read my scriptures, and trust and pray in God, and the rest will be all right.
Representative Cobb Hunter, we got about 1 minute.
Hope for me is the realization that people are coming to, that civic engagement is what we all need to be about. We've got to get informed, be informed, get involved, understand what's going on and how serious it is, and recognize that there is a role for everyone. And there are so many roles that you can play that don't involve being an elected official. Most leaders, most people who get things done, in my experience, are people without titles. All of you out there without titles, how about step up to the plate and figure out how you can help keep hope alive?
Representative Scott, Representative McDaniel, Representative King, Representative Cobb Hunter. I want to tell you all, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for giving us your perspectives and for sharing your feelings about Reverend Jackson and your great state of South Carolina. Thank you so much for offering your words of hope. You all are our heroes, and we just appreciate you. We appreciate all of the work and the challenges that you face every day and how you do it and how you face it on for the least of these and for all of us. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Atiba.
We have been reflecting on the life of Reverend Jackson as the nation prepares to lay him to rest. If you're listening in and you were waiting to hear Jesse's voice, I'm Atiba. I'm sitting in for Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, we'll continue our conversation. This is KBLA
1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump has fired Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. In a Truth Social post, Trump said Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin will replace her. He added that Noem will serve as special envoy for the Shield of Americas, a new Western Hemisphere initiative expected to be announced on Saturday. The change takes effect at the end of the month. The woman involved in a 2-year affair with former University of Michigan football coach Sharon Moore, who was Black, is no longer employed by the university. A spokesman says her contract expired February 28th. Moore is accused of breaking into her home after being fired last December and is due in court tomorrow. And rapper Kanye West, now known as just Ye, has announced 2 major European stadium shows for summer 2026 and is reportedly in final talks to headline London's Wireless Festival in July. The shows in the Netherlands and Italy could draw more than 100,000 fans. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers won their third straight game. They beat the Indiana Pacers Wednesday night 130-107 at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. 29 points and 8 rebounds for Kawhi Leonard. Darius Garland had 12 points and 8 assists off the bench. It was Garland's first home game for the Clippers since the February 5th trade that brought him to LA in exchange for James Harden. Garland had been sidelined for a month with a foot injury. The Lakers are at Denver tonight. The Lakers also have a 3-game winning streak. The Big Ten Conference Women's Basketball Tournament tips off today in Indianapolis. UCLA, the number 2 team in the country, is the number 1 seed in the tournament. The Bruins' first game is Friday at noon local time. They will meet the winner of today's game at noon between USC and Washington. All games in the tournament will be broadcast live on the Big Ten Network. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Pick up the drums. At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power. I believe that we will go from guttermost to uttermost. I believe that we will go from slave ship to championship. I believe that we will go from outhouse to state house to courthouse to White House. I believe.
He served alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He ran for president. He kept hope alive for millions of fellow citizens. This Friday, March 6th, KBLA Talk 1580 will carry the homegoing services of the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr. live from Chicago, beginning at 8 a.m. Pacific. Join us as we say farewell to a giant, a preacher, a warrior, a man who never stopped fighting for justice. The homegoing service of Reverend Jesse Jackson. This Friday, live starting at 8 a.m. Pacific, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. You hold on and hold out. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, oh, come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
Good afternoon. You have joined the J Lunch Club in Hour 2 on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and I am Atiba, in for Jesse Jackson Jr. today. Jesse is handling some things for the memorial service for his father tomorrow, and we are excited to have Dr. Johnny Mack and Ted Williams joining us now in our second hour. As you may know, the Jackson family and Reverend Jackson just arrived back to Chicago from South Carolina, where he was certainly welcomed as a favorite son. Dr. Johnny Mack is a social entrepreneur and social and scholar practitioner with expertise in the subject areas of peace, conflict, and social change and movements. He has traveled extensively throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, working in the fields of peace, development, conflict, and nonviolent social change. Dr. Mack's research includes the extensive study of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s logic of nonviolence and the United States Civil Rights Movement. Dr. Mack, thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Mack?
Atiba.
Yes,
Good
sir.
to be here. Thank you.
It's good to see you. Good to be with you. When our first hour, we were talking with four African American state legislators from the state of South Carolina, and they talked to us about their feelings of Reverend Jackson. Some of it was the history of some of the things that they've seen happen over the course of the last 40, 50 years. And one of the representatives was actually one of the youngest members, if not the youngest member of the South Carolina House of Representatives. Did you get a chance to watch what was going on in South Carolina? And if so, what were some of your thoughts of what's been going on with Reverend Jackson as his life has been commemorated in the state of California and now tomorrow back in the city of Chicago?
Well, thank you, Atiba, just for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on it, because yes, I have followed much of the audio, video, social media on in California, in South Carolina, in Chicago. And it speaks, all of those speak of the obvious impact that Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Jr. had not only on those cities, but on this nation. And most of us know, particularly those of us who do a little bit of travel around the world, the impact that Reverend Jackson had globally. I was reflecting, Atiba, that Jesse Jackson did so much here, but few people realize that he brought home 5 people from around the globe. 5 people from around the globe. Which of us, how many of us, and who in history single-handedly has done such a thing? That is the impact of Jesse Louis Jackson Sr. and the tributes that are being shown him, given him in the states that you've mentioned, and even those that we are not seeing, but are still being carried out by people who reflect upon his life, are really well-deserved, obviously. And I'm just so thankful to have known him and to be part of much of what some of his family does.
And watching on social media, Jesse Jr.'s post about his travels, for one, just the emotional for me to think of your father taking the journey that they took to bring his body to South Carolina. I was struck when they were in Tennessee and South Carolina by the troopers that we saw, because often we've seen in history a history that did not necessarily communicate that, where there was a tension. But we're going to go take a break first. And when we come forward, we're going to continue this conversation and our reflection of Reverend Jackson as the nation gives its final salute to the work Reverend Jackson rendered to the nation. I'm Atiba, and when we come forward, we'll continue this conversation. This is KBLA.
I'm with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This March, we're turning up the volume on the women who changed everything. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to celebrate Women's History Month, honoring the trailblazers, truth tellers, and game changers who shaped our world, our culture, and our community. From the freedom fighters to the firsts, from the boardroom to the front lines, from the unsung to the unforgettable, all month long, we're celebrating the stories, the voices, and the conversations that remind us that women, Black women, have always led the way. Don't miss a moment. This is our moment. This is our story. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580, Los Angeles' home for the conversations that matter.
I'm your girl, you're my girl, we're your girls. Won't you know that we love you?
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Hereeth my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times?
You're playing the lute. Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen
Are
report.
you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the Southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA 1580. I'm a team, and you are listening to Conversations with Atiba. I'm sitting in today for Jesse And we are with Johnny Mack, Dr. Johnny Mack on the World House. Dr. Mack, we have a clip that I want us to listen to for us to discuss.
Jesse Jackson with his sons behind him on the podium.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Tonight, we come together bound by our faith in a mighty God with genuine respect and love for our country and inheriting the legacy of a great party. The Democratic Party, which is the best hope for redirecting our nation on a more humane, just, and peaceful course. This is not a perfect party. We are not a perfect people, yet we are called to a perfect mission. Our mission: to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to house the homeless, to teach the illiterate, to provide jobs for the jobless, and to choose the human race over the nuclear race. We are gathered here this week to nominate a candidate and adopt a platform which will expand, unify, direct, and inspire our party and the nation to fulfill this mission. My constituency is the desperate, the damned, the disinherited, the disrespected, and the despised. They are restless and seek relief. They have voted in record numbers. They have invested the faith, hope, and trust that they have in us. The Democratic Party must send them a signal that we care. I pledge my best not to let them down. There is the call of conscience, redemption, expansion, healing, and unity. Leadership must heed the call of conscience, redemption, expansion, healing, and unity, for they are the key to achieving our mission. Time is neutral and does not change things. With courage and initiative, leaders change things. No generation can choose the age or circumstance in which it is born, but through leadership, it can choose to make the age in which it is born an age of enlightenment, an age of jobs and peace and justice. Only leadership, that intangible combination of gifts, discipline, information, circumstance, courage, timing, will, and divine inspiration, can lead us out of the crisis in which we find ourselves. Leadership can mitigate the misery of our nation. Leadership can part the waters and lead our nation in the direction of the promised land. Leadership can lift the boats stuck at the bottom. I've had the rare opportunity to watch 7 men and then 2 pour out their souls, offer their service, and heal and heed the call of duty to direct the course of our nation. There is a proper season for everything. There is a time to sow and a time to reap. There's a time to compete and a time to cooperate. I ask for your vote on the first ballot as a vote for a new direction for this party and this nation. A vote of conviction, a vote of conscience. But I will be proud to support the nominee of this convention for the presidency of the United States of America. watched the leadership of our party develop and grow. My respect for both Mr. Mondale and Mr. Hart is great. I've watched them struggle with the crosswinds and crossfires of being public servants, and I believe they will both continue to try to serve us faithfully. I'm elated by the knowledge that for the first time in our history, a woman, Geraldine Ferraro, will be recommended to share our ticket. Throughout this campaign, I've tried to offer leadership to the Democratic Party and the nation. If in my high moments I have done some good, offered some service, shed some light, healed some wounds, rekindled some hope, or stirred some warmth of apathy and indifference, or in any way along the way helped somebody, then this campaign has not been in vain. For friends who loved and cared for me, and for a God who spared me, and for a family who understood, I'm eternally grateful. If in my low moments, in word, deed, or attitude, through some error of temper, taste, or tone, I've caused anyone discomfort, created pain, or revived someone's fears, that was not my truest self. If there were occasions when my grape turned into a raisin, and my joy bell lost its resonance, please forgive me. Charge it to my head and not to my heart.
Dr. Mack, watching that and thinking of me as a 12-year-old listening to his speech, someone who had studied, when I say studied as a 12-year-old, as best I could as a 12-year-old, the life of Dr. King. I was born 4 years old today, 4 years after Dr. King's assassination. And I felt, and I had a feeling, and I'm wondering if you may elaborate if I'm on the right path, that Reverend Jackson was picking up and carrying the torch forward of things that Dr. King was talking about, particularly in the later part of his life. And one of the things that comes to mind from Dr. King is how we're all tied together in this inescapable mutual web. And he talks about so many different things in that speech that today are just as relevant as it was then. They are relevant now. In the first hour, we listened to an excerpt of his 88 speech, and that one was from his 84 speech. And one of the things that sticks out so much to me from that was early on when he says, choose the human race over the nuclear race. What are your thoughts? Am I right in thinking that some of what Reverend Jackson was saying then was also picking up where Dr. King had left off?
Well, of course, Atiba, it goes without saying, King learned, or Jesse Jackson learned much from King. King was an incredible example for that cadre of what I like to call gladiators, who fought the good fight for peace and justice. And yes, you can hear in Reverend Jesse's speech echoes of the impact that Dr. King had on his life. I was a bit older than you in '84, maybe more than a bit. And I recall that speech. I recall watching that speech and being so proud and impressed. I've followed King from my earliest days. I was just a kid when King, led his campaign. And then to see Jesse, along with others, not alone, but Jesse rose in a way that others did not. And to see him was such an inspiration for me as a young man. And so, as I reflect and listen to that speech again, I was even hoping that we kept the clip going just a bit longer, just hearing and listening, reflecting. I think our listeners probably would like to hear more from the speech than they would from me, but I appreciate you giving me the time to reflect on it. But, how do we do justice to, what we are hearing Jesse to have said some, 42 years ago, right? That could well be a speech given today.
Mhm.
About the desperate and the dispossessed and the disinherited and the damned. These are terms Jesse used when he was arguing that the Democratic Party should signal something to those persons. And that signal was that we care. And isn't that what people are looking for today? And I think that that's the example that Martin Luther King Jr., to your question, once again, gave. Caring about the disinherited, the downtrodden, the disadvantaged. By the way, those alliterations, something that both Reverend Jesse and Reverend King had in common with their command of speech, to tie these words together that bring real meaning and impress the conscience. So it was really great to hear that clip.
It's also interesting, as you say that what moved Reverend Jackson was someone trying to spur or trying to keep him from exploring his intellect, being able to get a book out of the South Carolina library. We'll talk a bit about that when we come forward. We're going to continue our discussion and our reflection of Reverend Jackson as the nation gives its final salute to the work Reverend Jackson rendered to the nation. We're reflecting on the life of Reverend Jackson as the nation prepares to lay him to rest. I am Atiba, and when we come forward, we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Mack. This is KBLA.
day. Baby's gotta eat, gotta make a living. No luck getting on the gravy train. Another night on the street chillin'. Out there chillin'. A young man wanna be a big success. Sells misery to the people. Another man running round insane, blowing up trains and planes, saying God said do that. That ain't God you hear. This generation gotta make a better vibration, so that the next generation will really care how they relate. This generation gotta show the next generation, so that the future generations will have better relations. On the gravy train, looking for a better life for her children. Disappearing fathers, where are you? Your creator is watching you. A young man wanna be a big success. Don't sell misery, try selling freedom. Try selling freedom, yeah.
You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk
Name changes
1580.
in every field of human endeavor. If you missed the first cohort, the good news is that we're already planning the next one. Now, the seats will be limited, and those on our waiting list will receive exclusive early access and special discounts not available to the general public. So, if you are ready to transform the way you connect, lead, and build trust, do not hesitate. Go to TavishTalks.com and join the waiting list today. That's TavishTalks.com. The next cohort is coming. Make sure you are in the room. I'm Tavish Smiley, and I hope to see you there.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Atiba, and you're listening to Conversations with Atiba. I'm sitting with Dr. Johnny Mack on the World House. And joining us also is Mr. Ted Williams III. He's an educator, actor, and an author who teaches political science at the City Colleges of Chicago. Welcome, Ted. How are you? Couldn't hear you.
Sorry, I said I'm fantastic. How you guys doing?
Oh, great, great. You may have had a chance to listen a bit to the excerpt that we shared from the 1984 Democratic National Convention, where Reverend Jackson gave a rousing speech, and was wondering what your thoughts are today. We know that tomorrow is the homegoing services for Reverend Jackson. Dr. Mack and I have been talking about Reverend Jackson as well as Dr. King. Was wondering if you could give us some of your thoughts and perspective in terms of the life of Reverend Jackson.
Yeah, so I am one of the myriad people across the country who have been significantly inspired by the life of not only Dr. King, but Reverend Jackson. Really, this connection of faith and social justice has been transformative for so many of our lives. I read a book of his in college just because I wanted to dig more deeply into his work called Legal Lynching around the death penalty and his moral opposition to the death penalty. And it really shaped what I would end up writing for my thesis at the University of Chicago and my work in the community, and then going on to seminary myself to really study these principles of social justice and the theology behind liberation. And so I can say from a personal perspective, and I'm sure there are thousands upon thousands of people like me across the country for whom Reverend Jackson was a living testimony, a manifestation of the principles of what the scriptures say, Matthew 25, that whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me. Reverend Jackson was that walking, talking, breathing manifestation of that scripture. And so when I look at his legacy and I look at it within the context of our justice struggle, he really is, in many ways, the bridge between Dr. King and Barack Obama, not only because of what he did with the Democratic Party through his runs in 1984, 1988, but also for him to be the next step, for him to be the next step in our civil rights struggle. He talked a lot about how we were able to get access to freedom, but the next step in the movement was access to equality, full equality, for us to not only have public accommodations, but also be able to participate in the wealth of this country. And I think that was a very important part of his legacy. And now it is really upon all of us, incumbent upon all of us, to go and carry this out to the next level. And that's what I will commit the rest of my life to. And I know so many of us are doing the same thing. And so I am so grateful to have been in his presence and to really live in his shadow. And I pray to carry that torch throughout my life and my work as well.
Dr. Mack, and what comes to mind, in the first hour, we spoke with 4 African-American state legislators from the state of South Carolina, the state where Reverend Jackson was born. What comes to mind right now is the power of the vote. Is there a power that we have not, that is still an untapped power that we haven't reached into, which is what the struggle was that we saw from the civil rights movement, and how we came about to get the Voting Rights Act? And then do you see, or possibly, that there has been a lax way of looking at the power of the vote?
Atiba, it's a very important question. It's a question that perhaps is wrapped in the larger scheme of democracy itself and what is happening around the globe today. The question of whether or not the democratic process really delivers for the very people that Jesse Jackson Sr. spoke of in that 84 clip at the convention: the despised and the disinherited, the damned and the dispossessed. And of course, voting is being threatened. Voting rights have pretty much been dismantled legislatively. And I think people, Atiba, Dr. Williams, are growing disenchanted. And that's one of the worst things we can possibly do. Rather than in solidarity, organizing and amalgamating, concentrating our efforts to disperse ourselves politically, not participate in the democratic process and in voting, is at our own peril. And so the question you raised is so very important. I think Jesse Jackson Sr. certainly understood this and gave his life to the whole concept, the whole idea of this democratic process and to voting itself.
Dr. Williams, working with students at the city colleges in Chicago, what are some of the things that you're hearing from students? Are they disenchanted, or have they given up? Have they lost hope?
I think what, unfortunately, we face in this climate and this culture is a real need to educate the electorate about what the democratic process is. I hear not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom in the community, so many conversations about how we haven't accomplished anything, how, we're in the same place we were 50 years ago, how the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are exactly the same. And I literally was talking to a group of students today about how when you don't dig into the reality of history, the reality of legislation, the reality of context with respect to these questions, of course, it's easy on the surface to say, both the Democrats and the Republicans bombed countries. Both the Democrats and the Republicans have been involved in voter suppression. But when you press in and you understand how our progress was made, the Civil Rights Act of 64, Voting Rights Act 65, Housing Rights Act of 68, you understand that there was a clear legislative process that one modern party has pushed forward and the other modern party has rejected. And so when I talk to my students, I am trying to make sure that they see, and they are seeing, there is a lot of frustration, there is a lot of apathy, there is a great deal of people being disenchanted with the political process. And yet, as Reverend Jackson would remind us, that hope is a powerful thing and we must keep it alive. And so every day, I get the opportunity in a very special place to, in a one-on-one or 1-on-10 or 1-on-15 environment, to get our students to start thinking differently. And I'm gonna tell you, I feel like this is God's work here, folks, because we are converting some of these students and we're getting some of them engaged and getting them involved in the process. And that makes me encouraged and excited about the future.
When we come forward, we're going to continue this discussion, as well as talk a bit about Jasmine Crockett in Dallas County and what Reverend Jackson changed in the party and what is being done now in regard to voter suppression. We are reflecting on the life of Reverend Jackson as the nation prepares to lay him to rest. I'm Atiba, and when we come forward, we'll continue our conversation. This is KBLA.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return, but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do? My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the Southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat.
You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Atiba, and you are listening to Conversations with Atiba. I'm sitting in for Jesse today, and we are with Dr. Johnny Mack on the World House. And we're also joined by Dr. Ted Williams, an educator, actor, and author who teaches political science at the City Colleges of Chicago. Thank you all for joining us. Before we go back into the conversation that we were having, I wanted to also make sure that our listeners know that both the Tavis Smiley Show and the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show will be superseded by KBLA's live stream of the homegoing services for Reverend Jackson in Chicago. Please join us as we bring to a close our 3-week salute, commemoration, and celebration of the life of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Dr. Williams and Dr. Mack. Before we went to break, we were wanted to talk about we were talking about voting and then talk about Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's run for the United States Senate in Texas and what we saw happen in Dallas County. And around the country, we've been seeing efforts to suppress the vote. How on the heels of the work of the Reverend Jesse Jackson, how do we keep hope alive? How do we keep and move people to vote? Dr. Williams, you talked about education, but how do we keep this energy going, or how do we even build the energy? And I would say in a short amount of time, considering that we have the November midterms coming up and we have primaries that are going on, like the one that just happened this past Tuesday. I think you're on mute, Dr. Williams.
We know that that's a very important question. We know that there is trickery around the political process. Sister Jasmine Crockett talked about this and these closing and switching of polling locations at the last minute. And so we understand that we have to, unfortunately, work twice as hard to get half as much in this country oftentimes. I do believe that the vote is worth it. I do believe that to organize and strategize is worth it. I ran for office myself in the city of Chicago, the city council here about 10 years ago now. And I remember as we were trying to get signatures, we had to get double the number of signatures just in case there was some trickery, just in case they knocked off the our signatures off the ballot. And so we recognize that is what we have to do. It is not fair, but it is ultimately what I think is going to push us forward in this space. And I'm going to tell you, we've had victories. We've had many, many victories. I think the victory of Reverend Haynes down there in Texas is a victory as well. I think there are many, many places and spaces across the country that we'll see that. In the city of Chicago, we have a primary coming up in just less than 2 weeks. And I know that we will see some very good candidates who will get support. And so while, we have to look at the glass as not half empty, but half full, there are definitely challenges to democracy, but there are great opportunities, and we have to focus on those and keep pressing forward.
Dr. Mack?
Yeah, I would just quickly say, adding to Dr. Williams' point, that understanding mobilizing and organizing is key here. Just earlier today, I was listening to the radio and I heard someone say that one political party is very good at mobilizing, while the other political party is good at organizing. And I think that we as a people have to be good at both. We have to understand the difference between the two. The final thing I'll say is that voting is, as Dr. Williams said earlier, is about education, and he also mentioned process. Voting is not an event. It is not a one-time transaction. It is a process that, yes, may be culminated with a day of action, but there's a process before and even after voting that we tend to miss as a people, that we have to be better educated about, informed about, and executing if we are to really realize our full potential in this democratic process.
It makes me think about, have an image in my mind of the men and women and children who marched in Selma across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. It makes me think about Reverend Jackson speaking before the Democratic National Convention in 84 and 1988. And to think that oftentimes we march, but perhaps maybe part of the marching that we can do today is a march to the polls, is a march together so that we are voting in numbers that are too large to manipulate the outcome. I want to say to both of you, thank you so much for your providing your insight. If you could, if maybe in 15 seconds, give us a quick word of hope.
Real quickly, Reverend Jackson used to always say that in sports, when the rules are clear and they're transparent, we win. And I think in politics, we will win as we continue to push to have transparency and accountability and quality of the rules.
Dr. Mack?
And I would say that HOPE is an acronym. How our people excel. Again, HOPE is an acronym. How our people excel.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for being with us. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.